Hey everybody, welcome back to Paranormal Vantage Point with Bud and Brooke. And we got a special guest, Shane, here with us tonight. He came all the way down from Michigan, so alright, so Brooke, you have any questions? Or you want to lead it off?
Shane,
yes.
really glad that you're here.
Thank you. You guys have been awesome.
Yeah.
Hospitality's been good. Everything's chill.
Had some pizza.
Yeah, it's pizza. I get pizza. Yep. So I'm doing great.
We're gonna do a little mini hunt after this.
Yep.
Pretty stoked about
Yeah,
it.
you guys got nice stuff tonight.
Mhm.
Things
Yeah.
I've never seen before.
I am actually very excited to see it. I mean, because you have what do you call you're born.
A sensor board.
A sensor board.
Sensor board.
Okay, what is it? Okay, like what is it about sensor board? I mean, like,
So
how does it work? Like, how did you build it?
absolutely. So the sensor board is a self-contained board that has 26 different environmental sensors.
Okay.
So like EMF, ions, radiation, motion, magnetic fields, and 3 axes.
Okay.
It's got a flame sensor, which we hope never goes off because that's the building's first.
Yeah.
It's got a 360-degree motion sensor
Okay.
that not only tells you yes, there's motion, but it tells you what angle and how far away it was.
Oh,
So that's kind of cool. So if you got it set in a room, it can tell, okay, yeah, over there was where the motion came from.
So it'll like actually point out.
Well, numerically, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, in the numbers, it will tell you an XYZ.
Right.
The machinist with the you're right.
Yeah, you said
XYZ.
I know exactly what XYZ is.
Yeah.
So you said ions. I actually was talking to somebody the other day, and they used to investigating, and they said that they used to pump like a location full of like ions to see how.
Yeah. So here's the real deal. So ions are nothing more than parts of atoms that don't have the rest. So like an ion would be like the nucleus of the atom, but no electrons.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Now they can be a positive and negative ions.
Right.
And so the idea is, if an ion hits the antenna, it's a positive. You register how strong it was and whether it's positive, and same thing with negative.
Right.
Now, a REM pod is really only an ion sensor.
Yes.
People don't understand that, but that's all it is. But unlike a REM pod that just says, "Yep, something touched me. I turned the light on and I beeped."
Yeah.
This goes, yeah, that was this much and it was a positive, or that this much and it was a negative.
Right.
So you can actually tell which ions touched.
So you think that REM pods are all faulty, or
they're not faulty? They do exactly what they're supposed to do. It's just they don't give you a number to tell you how strong it was.
Right.
And they don't tell you whether it was a positive or negative ion.
Right.
And where that becomes important,
and sound can even
like with the sound should not be able to do.
Yeah, that has nothing to do.
But hang on. But I looked up like I said, it was just a video. I'm not saying it's the gospel.
Okay.
But I looked up something where a guy was explaining about the REM pod on how what makes the REM pod work is what they use for some sort of musical.
Yes.
Some sort of
theremin.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
So all a theremin does is have an antenna. It's like a little U shape.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it has a second antenna underneath. One antenna is broadcasting ions. It's shooting them off.
Okay.
The other antenna is picking them up. When you put your hand around the thing, you're varying how much of the ions get from one antenna to the other. And so it goes,
correct.
And it makes all these sounds, and you get closer and farther, all those things. So a REM pod is simply the one antenna without the other one to send it into the air. Now, like you said, the ion pump, that is that other antenna.
Yeah.
Just blasting ions out into the air.
Correct. Yeah.
So basically, if you were to start at my board, start recording, and then you put an ion pump in the room, you would immediately see a big jump in readings.
Right.
Correct.
Positive or negative, depending on which way the ion pump was pumping.
But that can also be a way to debunk places, because who's to say there isn't somebody that's doing that?
Correct.
Not.
Yeah.
For viewers, I'm not saying that any location is doing that, but
yes.
it can create.
You can do it.
Yeah, it can create the effect that the place is haunted, and it's not. Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was at this location, and you can no longer investigate it, but it was pretty intense. And I used to go with my friend Judy, and she's actually coming up next Friday for the podcast. I just now telling you this, but yeah, Judy's coming Friday. So I used to go investigating with Judy a lot. Judy was.
By the way, I love how you just did it.
Yeah. By the way,
next Friday we got Judy.
Yeah. By the way, so she's going to be coming.
I don't know.
But Judy's coming next Friday, and we went to this place called Revenant Acres.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's in Charleston, Indiana.
Remember the story I was telling you earlier?
Yeah.
Or not Charleston.
About Black Moon Manor.
Yeah.
Then the next location.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Understood. Okay. Continue.
I'll tell
you later. It's a different story. It's
okay.
About a certain somebody that was finding old locations, calling it haunted, charging people, saying it's haunted, and it wasn't haunted.
Yeah.
Just found an old flipping house, and
said it was haunted, but it really wasn't.
That was.
So
okay.
I have another story about Black Moon Manor, actually. So
yeah, we'll get into that.
So Revenant Acres, me and Judy went there one night, and I brought my REM pod.
Okay.
And I had brought this thing to Waverly Hills. I had brought it to Randolph County Infirmary. I brought it to very hotspot locations and never got a hit off of it.
Yep.
Never.
Which means it's actually a real one. I'll tell you a story about that.
I took it to so many stories.
Yes.
So many stories, guys.
All right.
So I set this up. And I just put a new battery in it. I always put a new battery in it before I go on the investigation. So I put a new battery in it. I set it up, and me and Judy start, asking questions, yes or no questions. It starts going nuts. I mean, it was lighting to green, and then I was like, okay, can you light to a different color? And it'd go green to yellow.
Okay.
And then I'm like, okay, can you keep it going? And then it'd start going in circles.
Okay.
And then it'd stop.
Okay.
And I was like, and then we kept asking questions. I'm like, can you light to red? Can you light to green?
Yeah.
I certain questions I would yes or no. I would be like, sure. There's certain questions I'd be like, light up to a certain color or whatever. And it would. So to me, that is an intelligent spirit that I'm definitely communicating with. I don't feel, and I've heard a lot of people that have went there and nothing has happened at all. I've went there and I've had pretty negative experiences there. I was pretty spooked. I ended up like burning sage in my car. Yeah, I was like full ritual witch that like pagan, oils and sage. I was like, this place is bad juju. But yeah, I mean that night, that REM pod, I've never gotten hits off of it like that ever. But I did that night. And like I said, I went to a hotspot place like Waverly Hills. Everybody's heard of Waverly.
Oh yeah, I've never been there.
Yeah, but everybody's heard of Waverly.
I've never been.
Well,
yeah,
we'll have to make a trip because it is a really it's a fun place. I know you're a skeptic, but it's still one of those places that it's still one of those places. It's like there's so much history. Like you walk in and you could just feel the thickness. It's like, oh my god.
Okay, remember when I was telling you about when I went to Bardstown?
Yes.
Okay, where you got the old Talbot Tavern Inn. That's hard to say. The next to it is the old jail. And was built years and years ago.
Yeah,
they did the hangings in the backyard. It has an old cemetery in the back.
What's the jail called? It's a B&B, isn't it?
It is now, yeah. And expensive too.
What is it called though? Jailer's Inn.
Jailer's Inn. That's it.
Jailer.
Yeah.
And I did a tour.
Jailer's Inn.
And they let me do a tour, and they said they would love us to come to a full.
Okay.
And but yeah, when I went, it's like you could just, and you know me, I don't get it. Whatever. But it's almost like you just feel the history. You can just feel, you can just feel that energy.
Yeah.
When you walk out and say, "This is where we did the hangings," you're just like, "Wow,
yeah." Cool. Like if I could be a fly in the wall back in the day,
it's like
I'd probably be more mentally.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not Italian, but bada bing, bada boom. You know, And not only, but even go through the jail, even have it to where they try to keep it to how they had it back in the day. And the girl goes, "Yeah, now it's a B&B," and I'm like, "What?"
No.
And I looked at it is kind of pricey.
I actually looked up and it is pretty pricey.
What is
But
it,
the
like
way they have the beds set
Yeah.
up, it is super
I think
cool.
it's like $300.
And the beds don't look really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to sleep there all the time, but like just for like an overnight
Yeah,
weekend,
sure.
like to just kick it and chill.
Yeah.
It's a little pricey, but I mean, it really isn't that bad.
No.
I mean, you're staying on a historical.
And she said there is paranormal claims there as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Judy's been to jail or
Oh, she has?
and she's been to Octagon Hall. It was the same trip. She went to Jefferson and then she went to Octagon Hall. So Judy has
two places ain't that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like a road trip thing.
Yeah, sure.
Did together. It was before I actually got into the group. It was like when Indiana Lost Souls Paranormal first originated.
Cool.
So, and then they went on that or whatever, and then of course I came in like a few years later. But yeah, I would definitely love to go for sure. Yeah. Didn't you say that you've done a lot of investigating on like a ship or something?
Yes. So the LST 393 is a big World War II ship, land transport ship.
Yeah, I want to.
In Muskegon, Michigan.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's not very far away. It's on 4 or 5 hours.
That's not bad.
How long would it take for you though?
About an hour.
Yeah.
So, but I go down here.
Hey, we go crash at the farm.
Are you crashing? I was like, you guys both crashing.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
meet the wife.
So, anyways, yeah. So the ship is huge, and it actually saw action on D-Day in Normandy.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And it also carried German prisoners. It carried all kinds of stuff.
It did all the things.
Yeah. So basically, this big ship would come up near the shore, almost ram into the shore. The big front part would open up, and the tanks and the
they'd all
would
like
drive out onto the land, and then they'd back up and go. And
That's
so
cool.
we spent 3 days.
I mean, not
on the ship.
cool. It's sad,
But the fact that just think about how much emotion and things that ship experienced
action
during
action
World War II. I mean, bombs are going off. There's mines.
There's
It's seen a lot.
It's seen a lot.
It's seen a lot.
Yes. In that ship, we found quite a few very strange things.
like what?
Well, here's a story. So we were up in the wheelhouse, my wife and me, and one of our really young new investigators.
Okay.
And he was taking pictures just randomly around. The wife and I are just sitting there talking. We got recorders going and things.
Right.
And he's like, "Hey guys, I'm going to run out to my car because my camera batteries are almost dead." We're like, "Okay." Now remember, on a ship, the metal everywhere you walk is
everything.
Boom, boom, because it's all metal, and every hallway, all the ladders are metal.
Yeah.
So you can hear people walking for 50 yards, probably more,
Right.
because of the ship. So you hear him. We're up in this wheelhouse, way up high, where they steer the ship. There's a portal in the floor, and then the ladder straight down to the next deck, and then it goes down to another deck and whatever until you can get out. So you hear him go down the ladder. You hear him walking off into the distance, right?
Okay.
Probably 20 minutes later, we hear the footsteps coming back.
I remember you telling this.
And then,
oh my god!
we hear them coming up the stairs. And I've got my back to the portal, and the wife is kind of where she's sitting. And I'm like, "Oh, hey, Noah, how's it going?" And I turn around like this.
And it was not there.
And the wife's like, I'm like, "Did you hear?" He's like, "Yeah." So we played back a recorder. You could hear the footsteps. You could hear the sound. So I walk over there, and I look down the hole. And I'm like, "Hey, Noah," and I shout him down there, and you can hear it echoing all through the decks below.
Wow.
And then, we're sitting there for a little bit, and then a few minutes later, we hear it again, and this time it is him.
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah, sorry it took me so long, guys. I had to go to the gas station. I didn't have any more batteries in the car." He wasn't even a problem.
Oh shit! I would have freaked out.
So that was one.
Not freaked out, but then like.
I mean, the footsteps were just very distinctly. They'd start quiet, they got louder. Like you could hear them coming up the ladder. You could hear the hands like going on the ladder as you're coming up.
I'd probably spend about an hour trying to question it.
You would.
Yeah, and we did.
I'd be sitting down going,
See, but he's also one of those he'll keep trying to debunk.
Well, you should.
But and you should.
It's something that says that though. You're like even you'll go. You spend so much time trying to.
But sometimes it is what it is, and you just need to accept it. But you are so.
See, I'm about halfway between you.
Yeah.
Because here's another one that's really strange. Okay, on that same ship, right next to the wheelhouse where they steer it, behind it, if you go past the portal and into the little back room, is the radio.
Okay.
So that way they have these big maps on the wall and all these frequencies and stuff.
Me and you talked about this,
yes.
and I'm like very intrigued about it.
Yeah. So basically, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at all this antique 1940s radios and all this stuff, and I'm reading the frequencies on the wall. Of course, I have a ham radio on. So for me, this is like
candy store.
Yeah, this is like historical radios.
Right.
So then I was like, I noticed that the antenna ports where you plug into the antennas for those radios, they were unplugged, but they were still there. And the big antennas that go all the way across the length of the ship were still up. So I went out to my car and I got my ham radio out of the car and I brought it in and I plugged it into my laptop and I plugged it into that antenna port on the ship.
Okay.
And I thought, well, if there's any residual energy or whatever from, the decades and decades,
it might come through.
So at first, nothing happened. And I kind of almost got bored. I almost started taking it apart. I was like, yeah, there's nothing. I'm just hearing static and I'm hearing other ships talking because the frequencies that were used in the 1940s for the ship-to-ship are still used for ship-to-ship today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they should not have anything on them but ship traffic per international law.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So just before I started tearing down my rig, I heard some crackling, and then I started hearing this old-time preacher. And he's like, and God said, let
no.
And it's faded in with the noise. It's all crackling and everything. And then it fades out and goes away. At first I'm like, the hell is that? That's not allowed to be broadcast out of those frequencies. These are ship to ship,
But not today, Satan.
Yeah.
Not today.
Okay, question I got. Like those old time church sermons.
Yes.
What channels were they originally put on? Okay, do you see what I'm asking?
I know exactly where. Here's the deal. During the war, to help keep ship morale and troop morale up, the United States would send shortwave broadcasts to the ships for the sailors to listen to. They would include sermons, they would include news, they would include all kinds of stuff. Right?
That's how they got their own alerts.
Back then, it was allowed to send that traffic because there were no higher frequencies.
Okay.
I mean, they existed obviously, but they didn't have technology to get there.
But what I'm kind of asking is, like during that time, though, could the same frequencies from let's say like the Bible Belt, like down south,
Sure,
because those things were also broadcasted
correct
in the South, like say Mississippi.
Yeah, that's where those would come from.
Yeah. So
okay,
could anything? I might be asking a really odd question.
That's good.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Could anything bleed into something else? You see what I'm saying? Like I'm not a computer guy. I'm not a radio guy.
Here's what happens.
So this is me asking,
So the way that we were getting it at first I didn't understand why is this sound coming through on a frequency.
Correct. Yes.
So
that's kind of what I'm getting at.
So then the next thing was we realized that every time you hear the old time music and preacher and that stuff, was within a few seconds of the big lightning storm that was coming in over Lake Michigan. So every time the lightning would go, it would get a loud crackle, and then all of a sudden this preacher would start, or whatever music, old time music, whatever, would start coming out.
It did it during the lightning.
And then when that lightning would go away, it would fade down to nothing. And then a few seconds later, you get a lightning burst and you come right down.
So it wasn't necessarily anything paranormal. It was...
Well, what I'm thinking, and this is a whack theory, this is way out, is
I like
the energy generated by the electrical storm could have pushed the recorded emotions or memories or
from back then
into those antennas or part of it. Like the extra energy drew the energy out of the ship. Like the stone tape theory. That something plays over and over and over. And it's just because the stones or the walls or the object.
Me and you talked about that earlier.
Has energy in it. But what I'm saying is the lightning energy in the air could have been enough to push it over the threshold for that energy to break free or to come so that the radios can pick it up.
Right.
Because because we were on that ship for 3 days. This was like the first day.
Oh, okay.
So the next 2 days, I listened.
Did you stay on the ship for 3 days?
Yes, we slept in there. In fact, me and the wife slept in the captain's quarters in the first mate in the captain's quarters. We slept in right behind the wheel. It was cool. Metal bunks with these little pads on them. That's all.
My grandfather was in the Navy, so that was been.
Yeah. Well, and that's a museum now. You guys can go there and check it all out and walk around.
No, my grandpa was in the machine.
Yeah, but I want to investigate it.
Yeah, and we could probably get in there again.
My grandpa was machinist in the Navy.
Yeah.
So he did all his machining training and all the machining work there.
Yeah, but the next 2 days, I did not hear one single thing. I left that computer, and I actually have those.
So you kept it plugged in.
Yeah. So the computer, I actually have an audio log of those things. You can literally listen to it. You can hear the static, and occasionally hear a regular ship. Yeah, this is ship, blah, 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 blah. Coming to port, such, you'll hear that.
You know what I'm thinking?
Road trip lounge.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
See if you can,
Harold Vantage Point road trip.
Yeah. I got a nice studio. We can all sit in my studio and
do podcasts and go on a ghost hunt.
Yeah.
No, I'm not bullshitting. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Road trip.
Yeah.
Does my face look like it's bullshitting?
Yeah, she's good.
Oh, I'm
for it. Man.
Let's do it.
Yeah. You guys
I'm not joking.
No. Crash the night and whatever. We got guest rooms. So.
Yeah.
I'll get a camcorder and we'll even vlog the whole thing.
We want to watch him in the machine shop, put him on my mill, and see if he can make something.
Dude.
He's going to be like,
Okay, you're making, okay.
Yes.
he got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
got a sense of humor. Okay, I get it.
So
that's all good.
So that ship was pretty cool. Here's another one.
By the way, do you want to hear a statement that we used to say back in the day?
What's that?
Call me a butt pusher, I'll call you an ambulance.
A butt pusher.
A button pusher.
Button pusher. I'll call you an ambulance.
Call me a button pusher, I'll call you an ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a machine to say back.
Yeah. So here was another one that happened on the ship with the wife and that young investigator. They were walking through the galley sections where they do the food, they serve the food, and they do all that. And there's like this big, it's like on the sides of the ship, the whole length of the ship. It's like all these little chairs, all these little tables, hundreds of them, because there's thousands.
Like NCL cafeteria where you like take your...
Well, it's like, you had all the...
Sort of.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we get to train. And you'd go up and you just walk down there until you find an empty seat and you'd sit down.
Yeah.
So they were walking through that section. And of course, they've converted this thing into a museum now. And so they had some, displays up and some mannequins with, military gear. So they're walking through there. And Noah again is taking pictures. And all of a sudden, the wife goes, hey, if there's any entities present, are you scared or, is anything, are you okay with us being here? And the first whisper that they both heard audibly was, it scared us. And so then...
That was audible?
Yeah, audible. And then, so they're like, what? And so they both played back the record. Both recorders had it. And the funny thing was, in the back corner of the room, one of the other investigators had accidentally left their recorder there.
And it played on that one?
And it was on that one.
How far
that is so cool.
Like
that room was probably
like how many feet would you say the recorders were away from each other?
6, 8.
Okay.
Very close. I mean,
right.
If you put your arms out both sides, you could almost touch both sides of that hallway.
Okay.
So it's definitely in the same room.
And the rooms are all bulkheads. Every 10 feet is another big metal door.
Okay.
And so you have to just keep opening doors to get through the ship. Because if the ship gets hit, that part can blow out, but the water won't fill the rest of the ship.
Correct.
So that's why they have them. So they were in one of those bulkheads walking. And that other recorder had just been left there on the little table in one of those bulkheads.
Right.
And it recorded it too. And you could hear it clear as bell. We still have the audio.
You do?
We have the audio for it. I have everything I've ever done.
When we come to Michigan,
You can play all.
we can hear all the audibles.
Yes, you can hear them. Absolutely. And so that one was really, really good. I mean, it wasn't one of those, yeah, I think it's sad. No, it was like, you could just lay that you could go into a restaurant, lay this on the table, press the button, and say, hey, what did it just say? And everybody in the whole thing, that wouldn't be a question.
Because you know me, we talked about
Oh, yes, of course.
Me and you talked about this earlier.
Uh-huh.
When people, ghost hunting people, and this ain't the bash nobody.
Yeah.
Nothing negative, so nobody get their undies in a wad. But I do sometimes have a problem.
Sorry, I'm not bored or tired. I'm just flu.
It's okay.
But I do sometimes have a problem with people say they got EVPs.
Yep.
You know, like, oh, look at this. Listen, no, you're.
Yeah, this was not.
No, if I hear something plain as day, that to me.
This is one, and that's where I think the best thing that you could do with an EVP that you think is very good is pick 5 of your friends, maybe not even inside the paranormal, email it to them with no.
Not telling them
nothing in the file name, just
listen to this.
A.Wave.
Because you know as well as I do, somebody will post on this and they will go, did you hear Get Out? Then you've got everybody.
Send it to 5 of your friends that don't know it.
Oh,
and then have them
send
you back what they think they heard individually in your email.
Right.
And if they don't say the same thing, that's pretty good sign. If they don't have random words or don't hear anything, then okay, it's a bummer.
So when me and Bo were together, I took him, and he was a skeptic.
Okay.
He's definitely more open now. But we went to the Monroe House out in Hartford City.
I need to see a video about them. Nothing against the Monroe House, but there was
seen them all.
No, hang on. Is something just remind me later.
Okay.
Cool.
Anyway, but we went there. We walked through and everything, and he of course was like knocking on walls, like looking behind, just like trying to look to see if like anything's faulty or anything. I get it. He's a skeptic. So we were walking through and we're upstairs and we're waiting on Judy to get there. It was my birthday weekend. Of course, I wanted to go on a ghost hunt because I'm weird. So we went upstairs and we were walking around, and I had my recorder going, and I didn't hear it. But then when I went back and I replayed it, he was sitting there with me, and we both looked at each other because we heard it.
Uh-huh.
And you hear a little girl say, "Where's my mom?" And you could hear it plain as day upstairs.
I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, I need to find it. It's so far back, but if I look far back,
one thing that I always tell anybody that's getting started in paranormal: make a folder structure somewhere on a safe computer.
It's in my old laptop.
And just find it. Yes, and just label every single investigation with date and time, whatever, and then put all your files from because I have literally from my first investigation, I have every single bite.
I still have. Okay, you know me, the skeptic. I still have audio clips that I question, and they're still on my computer.
Yeah,
they're still, and I think I got them saved in that one. I think
that's great.
And they're still in this very day, but it's like me and you talked about reporters and stuff like that.
Yeah. So,
and this is what
that's where the censor board comes in.
Okay.
Because the cool thing about the censor board, not only can it do like automated type EVP sessions and things.
Okay.
But because it's logging all 26 of those different things at the same time, every second, you have all the sensors correlated, matched to the audio, matched to whatever video. So if anything happens, like let's say you're watching a video and you see a book fall off the shelf.
Right.
You can literally note in the video that was at 9:36 p.m. in 40 seconds. Then you can go to the board sensor data and look at that 40 seconds plus or minus however much, and look at all 26 sensors and see, did any other sensor see that at the exact same time?
Now that's like me and you talked earlier, and that's the one thing.
Science.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing. You know me, the critical thinker, the bunker.
Yeah.
That's what I am.
Me too.
In the beginning, I was actually just a thrill seeker. I just needed, I needed that thrill, because I'm a horror fanatic. And but the one thing I like about you, I mean, the one thing compared to everybody else, and no offense against them, so I don't mean this in a bad way, but the one thing I like about you is like you're adding science. You're trying to add science to maybe can something make me a believer.
Yes, and that's how I started.
That's what
I'm a science dude.
And you're like being an audio engineer and stuff like that. And that's what I like, man. I mean, and when people, and like I said, what I'm about to say, no offense against nobody. And I want to see if anybody can back me on this. And when people say the word paranormal, I'm in the paranormal field. To me, it's not a field. To me, it's a community.
Yes.
Okay, because what I'm about to say, again, not mention. I don't think it's a field because it can be. Again, I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
You do what you do.
Yeah. I'm a photographer too.
Okay, you do what you do.
Yep.
The audio, the thing, the science, and stuff like that. And the why I say it's not a field because if we had the different fields of study, psychologists, audio guys, video guys, photographers, electricians, all come into one, and say, can we all work together to say maybe can something make us believe?
We need it.
Okay,
when will we get that?
When you just have people, and again,
and I'm trying to.
And again, no offense to nobody.
You got pretty far.
And again, no offense to nobody. I don't mean this in a bad way, but when you just got K2 meters, RAM pods, things that things that got
equipment that can
well, they can't log it.
Correct.
It said it beeped, but you said it beeped, but did it really beep?
But I mean, that's what I'm saying, and that's why I'm saying, man, I love what you're doing.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing. I love
because
you're trying. You're trying to do something that I feel I wish everybody would do.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think if the whole ghost hunting community, paranormal community, whatever, took an eye on what you're doing, it can maybe be a field.
Yeah.
It could maybe be a field.
Well,
bring in video.
The other thing would be cool is, the ability to use the same statistics that scientists use in like medical studies and things like that. You see that stuff all the time.
But I mean, let's go backwards to like Edison and Einstein.
Yeah.
Even Edison believed in the paranormal, which
absolutely.
I think Edison.
That's why he built
Edison's
early recording devices.
I think Edison's a pro, but whatever.
But that's the main reason he started building, the different recording devices, the wax recorders and those different things, is because he wanted to pick up the EVPs.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Research it.
Yeah.
Thomas Edison started inventing certain things.
Same with Nikola Tesla. He started doing.
Nikola Tesla did the same thing. Yeah.
But he was more interested in the energy than the audio part. And then another guy named Raldine. I can't remember his Roland Raldine. I can't remember the exact.
Was it a Russian guy?
Might be. Okay. Anyways, he was one of the first things to start with recording actual EVPs. So what he had done is, outside of his university window, there's these birds that would sit in the little bush and they chirp.
I think I've heard this story.
And he would record those chirps with his.
I know exactly.
Out of here.
No. I'm just saying I know exactly who he's talking about.
Yeah. And so then when he played it back, not only did he hear the birds, but he started hearing whispers and voices and stuff. And he's like, wait a minute. I didn't make any of that sound.
Yeah.
And he did it on accident.
Yeah, he did it on accident. Then he actually focused his whole career. He quit his career almost.
Yeah.
With EVP stuff.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
I think his name is Raldine. That's his last name. I can't remember his first name.
Dude, I read about this years and years ago.
Yes. He wrote a book too, a whole book on EVP.
Yeah, research it.
Yeah,
it is.
He
started because he was a bird, he was a bird watcher.
Raldine,
I think.
And he was going out recording birds.
Yes.
Because he was a bird watcher.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, when he was going back to listen to his audio,
he was hearing voices. Yeah.
He was hearing talking. Yeah. He was hearing human voices.
That's cool.
That's wild.
So the important thing is to take the human element out of the investigation by using the math and statistics. So, like, if I was getting, which we'll do this later here in a minute.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, we'll set up the board. We let it sit there and run for a good long. Just recording, whatever's there. Then you either do a manual EVP session or a flashcard session or whatever you're going to do. And you ask the entities, hey, starting right now for the next 30 seconds, can you alter the magnetic field in this room? And you give it 30 seconds of silence. It just sits there. And then you're like, okay, thank you for doing that. If you did, hey, for the next 30 seconds, can you change the temperature in this room? Can you raise it or can you lower it? And you give them 30 seconds. Okay. So then you have all this. And of course, you're videotaping it, you're voice recording it, and the data logger's logging. So then you go back to the data, you go into until you get to those 30-second chunks. You pull those out of the data, and then you use statistics software to compare that 30 seconds to the baseline where it just sat there, and you find out, was it statistically significant?
Okay.
Did it go the direction you told them to? How strong was it? And also,
And this is the September one?
Yes. Which we
And
have
this is what you're going to have run
tonight. Yes. And so then the other thing it can also tell you is not only did the reading go up or down, but how much variation is there? We're talking standard deviation for anybody who knows statistics. Because here's the deal. What I've found over time is, yes, many times an entity or whatever will cause a statistically significant change in the data just for the 30 seconds that's there. But also, sometimes instead of just changing the value, they will just start going like a seismograph. Like they'll make it chaotic. So the amount of chaos will change. So there's natural noise and crap in the air, Earth's atmosphere, the magnetic field, all the crap that just lives on the Earth. Buildings.
Kind of like when you try to measure earthquakes.
Yes, except not vibration. We're talking electromagnetic spectrum.
Yeah.
So
everything.
If you just let the board record, if you look at the data closely, it's just kind of this fuzzy up, down, up, down, up, down, but it's all kind of one level. Sometimes the entities will actually just make it go crazy, like a seismograph going way up and down, and then it'll stop right at the end of the 30 seconds.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And it'll be temporally linked. Yeah, it'll literally be temporally linked. Now, here's the cool part. Sometimes I do it automated, where I'm not even in the building. Might not even be on the property.
Mm-hmm.
I have PowerPoint presentations that are already pre-set up with like 8 or 10 questions each.
Right.
And the computer could just randomly play them. Like it might wait 5 minutes and then do one and then wait half an hour and do another one.
Yeah.
And so it just does that. The whole time the board's just recording. And the video's going and all the stuff is going. So then, while you're not even there have been times where it gets to the part where, hey, can you change the EMF level in this room? I'll give you 30 seconds, and it even has a little so that on the computerized one, so that you know exactly. Now, the great thing is the data on the board and the videos are synced.
Okay.
So you can go right down to the second and say, okay, exactly the video is when this is when that started, this is when it ended. I pull that little piece of data out, I run it through statistics software, and I find out, did they change it from the baseline?
Right.
And I shit you not, I get more hits when nobody's there than when there's a whole building full of investigators.
Yeah.
Well, what makes you?
My guess is 2 things. Number one, maybe.
But do they mess with? Can they mess with that? Like if there's other investigators in, does it mess with?
Well, yeah, you need to basically say, hey, the upstairs bedroom in this corner has the board in it. Don't go in there. Because as soon as you walk in, it'll say, okay, there's motion at this angle, and it's over there, and the field's all changed.
I don't even know where to tell him to put it. Either the basement or Mama's room.
Okay.
Those are the 2 places I in.
What are your reasoning for that?
I actually heard a girl with my own ears down in the basement.
Here?
Yeah, down in the basement. Yep, me and Judy.
When was this?
3 years ago.
You told me that story.
Interesting. So the whole idea is
have.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
When?
A while ago.
Like when?
And you're like, oh, no, we're going down the basement.
Well,
I swear I've told you.
no.
Yep, I did.
But the biggest thing is computers don't have feelings. They don't care about things. They just log numbers.
It's almost like a CNC machine. You can only do what you tell it.
Yes, and then also math, especially doesn't it's just math for math.
Right. Correct.
It's one of the few things that's a pure science, basically. Is math.
Yeah. Correct.
So if you mathematically get yeah,
Did I not tell you she was going to do
he did, but that's okay.
But did you hear that?
Yeah, it sounded like something brushed outside the
Uh-huh.
door, like in the hedges or whatever.
that? Okay. Why didn't I?
Because you're a machinist and you've
Yeah.
never seen a machine. See, that's true. A lot of machinists, they've been in the shop for 30 years or whatever.
Dude, my hearing. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I've been a machinist 27 years.
Yeah,
My hearing.
yeah, is good.
No.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't hear this.
But I can't make out the words. I'm dead.
Yeah, so that's part of the reason he doesn't hear the thing.
You had a more Billy Madison.
Yes.
So that's why I think that's the next step in the paranormal community, because once you've taken the human element, literally to the point where you're not even having investigators on site. There's been
Right.
times I've literally set this thing up in a room, tested everything, make sure it works, lock the door and left.
Yep.
And I come back hours later and I've got all these hits.
Yeah. That's a little Ghostbuster.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is sometimes I do it different ways. So sometimes I'll just grab some. Let's look at the EMF for today. I throw it up as a graph. You can see it. All of a sudden I'll see a bunch of spikes, some spikes.
Right.
I'm like, what was in the video at those times? So I just fast forward the video to those exact times and I can watch and see things. Or
That makes
listen to
it
the audio.
so much easier.
Yeah. So, or
Because he was talking about his, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
interrupt you, he was talking, he has a camera system.
yeah,
And I was like, the only thing with setting up a camera system is you have to have somebody looking at the camera like at all times.
yes, this is recorded. On
Yes,
video.
you do, because you can miss something like that.
No.
Yes.
You can if it's recorded,
You can
go back and watch it anytime you want.
Yeah, that's the thing. But what I'm also saying is, it's hard for a human to sit there and watch 4 hours.
You get bored.
You become like road hypnotized.
That's what I'm saying. With
You just all of a sudden forget. You don't see
Yeah.
things. And I've seen that happen before. But the other thing is you can
get over it.
You
You're
could
just
also
like,
do it the other way. So because the voice recorders and the cameras and all that are all synced, you can pick up a voice recorder, you listen for a while, you hear a clunk, clunk, clunk. You're like, I wonder what that was.
Yeah.
So now I can go back and look at the data.
Yeah.
Did anything happen during that 3 seconds
Yeah,
that made noise?
right.
If you start seeing changes in readings and then it goes right back to flatline, some kind of energy happened in the room to make the sound.
Yeah.
And also hit the sensors at the same.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something. Your sensor will work.
Yeah.
Something happened here in 2 different places
Okay.
at 2 different times. Okay, years and years ago, a news crew was here.
Okay.
And it was like around Halloween time, and we're at the historic Hannah house and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, on camera, inside that parlor, okay, you know that light fixture?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was doing this.
It was spinning myself.
Hang on, but I got my theory on why it spins, because something else is spun down in the basement,
Okay.
but I have my theory on how it does it.
Okay, tell me.
Vibration.
It could technically.
I think
Spinning?
Yes, because
Oh,
here's. Okay, I'm assuming it. I haven't looked at it carefully, but I'm assuming it's a chain. It's a chain that comes down from the ceiling, or is it a rope?
It's like this.
it's like that.
Yeah, see, chain. See
Oh,
how?
no, it's like that.
It's
And
like
the other one.
But I'm just
it's a
saying
pole.
it hangs. It's
Yeah.
the
But
same.
now, like in the case of this chain, if there was a vibration and one of those links slip a little bit, because they're shaped like this, if it was sideways, it would actually twist. So if there was like somebody's jumped up and down on the ceiling, this probably wouldn't go up and down because of the links, but it might go like this because the links.
But my theory is like where the house is setting, we have a maybe.
I didn't think it was spinning though. I thought it was like swaying.
It was kind of like not really. It wasn't really spinning. It was more okay, I use the wrong term.
A big semi or a tree could be.
It was like doing this.
Could be a heavy tree.
Okay, we're on a major ass road.
Yes.
Okay.
Semi could be.
Okay, but hang on, down in the basement.
Okay.
Okay, you know where you saw grandma's jars and all that?
This actually used to be the only road to Madison, Indiana. It was a toll road.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, Alexander made that a toll road.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So if you drove through his property, you had to pay, man.
Nice.
He got a bang for his buck, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, down where you saw grandma's jars. Okay, to the left, there's a pail that hangs on it.
Yep.
There's like
okay,
well, a paranormal team was in here.
Yeah.
I was in the kitchen, and they was like, dude, come in and see this. And they weren't saying it was paranormal. Yeah. They weren't even, they weren't going there. They were like, what do you see? And I'm like, hell spit. And it was like, kind of like doing a rock. In there. No, that's the basement.
By the canning jars.
Oh.
We're at hell.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of like doing like a rocking thing.
Yeah, but we're people walking up here.
I was like, okay, so how long has it been doing it? It was like, we just now noticed it. So I go down there. There's 2 pails.
Yeah.
I was like, well, hang on. Let's switch pails.
Okay.
It did. So that's why my vibration theory.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
because if it could do it there, that pail would be right there.
Voice, I can't explain that with vibration.
Okay, so that light fixture's there. Go on down, and it's almost parallel.
Yeah.
It's
now,
almost,
here's an interesting question.
Do you see what I'm saying?
How windy was it outside?
That I don't know.
Because if it was gusty and windy,
because I wasn't,
the amount of force at the top of this house could push just enough to just make both of them at the same time.
Okay, this house.
Yeah.
3 layers of brick all the way.
That still don't matter. You get wind from a lot of leverage from 3 stories. It could put. I mean, it's.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you on.
Yeah,
but
especially since it's very wide, flat.
But I wasn't here
during the mortar is starting to like.
Yeah,
it's.
Yeah, I know. I know, but what I'm saying is, but that's where I think because that light, that pail is almost parallel.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's almost like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Maybe. Okay, we're going this way. Road's here.
Yeah. So
that's what I'm saying.
As train that goes by, semi
vibration,
heavy loaded semi.
Yeah, they do it.
Or train. Is there trains near here?
Science.
Is there train tracks near here?
Oh shit! Right.
Yeah, train. It's the train. I guarantee it.
Think so?
Oh yeah. The train heavy loaded.
I remember when with that basement. I don't know.
The train doesn't go this late.
Yeah, it doesn't go by this. So
it probably is semi.
I would have heard the train. So
yeah. So I don't know, but it's just the whole idea is the paranormal community needs to start putting numbers and things. Because the other thing that's nice is
I won't even 100% argue on.
If you take the other thing, this is something I would like to do someday, but it would cost a lot of money and take a lot of resources. But actually make smaller versions of my sensor board with maybe less sensors on them, mass produce them, and then have a site where you can upload the data from your investigations to. So you can make a giant database of every individual. But, because I've had people, they see my board. And
you would be the guy to be able to pull it off.
I physically can do it by my wallet. That's the issue. It's the hosting of the data.
Sponsor.
Yeah. But here's the thing, guys. I've had many times ghost hunters come to me and after seeing the board, they're like, damn, how much? I'll pay you. Build me one of those. It's like, okay, but I can build you one and you can pay me. But do you have the knowledge to take the numbers and the statistics and actually do a scientific study with it? It was almost if you don't, it's not worth your time. You're just wasting money.
It's almost like when I was having technical difficulties with the podcast.
Yeah.
And it was my computer. I'm not a computer guy.
Yeah.
So I go to you.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, okay, well, is this? And again, I didn't have the knowledge to know what was wrong.
Yeah. And so
I go to you. And again, you are absolutely 100%. That's why I think what's wrong with the paranormal community, they use this. They use this, and this, thinking this is correct, but they don't have the knowledge to know what is working. They don't have the knowledge to understand recorders, EMF, like
Yeah.
how does it really work? How does it really work? Quit being fixated on, well, it goes beep beep.
Yes.
You know, quit getting fixated on, well, it lit up. Who cares? I don't care if something lights up.
What is your look on music boxes?
Those all motion sensor ones?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the motion sensor is a motion sensor. It picks up infrared heat that moved. It's the same thing that's on my 360-degree motion sensor that's on the board.
Right.
But all it does is trigger the music box when it sees motion.
Correct.
So, unfortunately, you can't tell how strong was the motion, how big was it, where was it, was it a person or was it nothing there?
Yeah.
You know, because there have been more than one time where I've gotten a hit on emotion that was like up there. And the video cameras, I have a widescreen camera, you'll see it tonight. It does 120-degree field of view.
Okay.
It sees almost the entire room at once.
Yeah.
There were no humans in the room.
Right.
There were no people in the room. The room was shut. The door was shut. It saw motion like near the ceiling, 8 feet up.
Okay. Well, what makes you think caused that? Or, I mean, your opinion.
My opinion, some things that could do it. Technically, if there was a heat vent up there and the furnace just kicked on, that big plume of warm air, it can't tell what the difference between a big plume of warm air and a warm body is. There's not, for as far as infrared,
Very good point.
It can't tell.
Okay.
But in a building like this where there's no forced air heat, or I think the building we'd actually seen that in didn't even have heat.
Right.
So my friend Judy, she actually has in this music box.
Okay.
It's like the creepiest music when it plays.
Yeah, it's more for I would say cinematic effect.
Yeah.
The word that I would
To me, I always said entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. But cinematic was
but
good point.
I do think this thing is legitimate.
What's your
we put it in a room by itself when we were in the next room.
Yep.
And I was like, can you touch the music box in the next room? But it went off.
Now that is kind of cool.
That could be coincidence.
It could be. If it did it once, coincidence. Many times.
I mean that night, every time we asked it to go off,
I'm not calling nobody out.
And then it shone.
But I'm just saying, statistically, that could be coincidence.
Of course. Now, the other thing is, even people that say, they come up to me and they ask, hey, you're the science guy, what do you think of K2 meters? Here we go again.
Yeah, we've talked.
So, and I'm like, all right, a K2 meter does exactly what it's supposed to do. It picks up electromagnetic fields. And it tells you
who is it really designed
for. It's electricians and people like that. Now, and it gives you a certain number of LED lights based on how strong
it is. Correct.
Now,
so if you're on live and you're like, "Ooh, I'm doing an investigation here,"
yeah, you're holding yourself.
You're holding your cell phone, and it's
or walkie-talkie, and you're going.
Yeah, it's going to go
down continuous, which makes for great cinema because look, we're getting stuff, guys. But it ain't jack.
The biggest bullshit crap you've ever seen or
now something like the sensor board, it basically has the equivalent of a K2 meter in it, but instead of just saying, "Yep, I saw a signal. I don't know what frequency. I don't know whatever anything about it. It's just I saw something."
Now I've put my K2 meter like here. I put it like up.
Yeah.
So like you go to the top of the stairs or something, like long desk or whatever.
Sure.
I put it over there, away from me and everybody else. Didn't get any hits on it, and then it started sparking up towards the end of the night.
Yeah, that can happen. So and I'll tell you about how in a minute. So the thing that the K2 meter is missing, and that a full-fledged magnetometer would record is what is the polarization of the magnetic field, what is the orientation in X, Y, and Z of the magnetic field,
correct,
and what was the frequency of the magnetic field. Because I can tell you right now, in America, if the frequency of the magnetic field is 60 cycles or 60 hertz, it's guaranteed electric.
Right.
Yeah.
because in America, all of our electric grid is 60 hertz AC.
Yeah.
So basically, if you get a reading with a magnetometer in the same spot that a K2 meter did, and it's showing a frequency of 60,
It's
it's
the,
just the
it's
light.
just the lights.
And you guys will see this again when I get the ghost CB out.
So even if they're off, like it'll.
Yes, because the electricity is still coming through the wire. It's just not completing the circuit. And so at the end, the wire becomes an antenna and it's just broadcasting, which is why I love to do abandoned places that have no electrical power whatsoever. The whole building can literally just pull a main. And I've actually done this at different investigations before. I'd be like, hey,
because it takes some guesswork.
do you care if I just go kill the power of the whole building? And most of the people are like, yeah, go for it. Some of them freak out. It's like, well, we got our security cameras. We can't have those.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, come on. So anyways,
I'll be right back, guys.
yeah. So once you've killed...
Gotta go fiddle.
So the problem is the K2 does what it's supposed to do. It detects a magnetic field. Now, if you were out, let's say, in the middle of a 100-acre cornfield, there's no power lines, there's no people, there's no cell phone,
and it was going off.
and it was going off, that would be weird.
Yeah.
But in an urban environment like this, it could be nothing more than the neighbor across the street just hit the button on his garage door open.
Yeah.
And now it's beep, 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 beep.
So even being outside and being just that far away from
because
really,
unless you live in a metal box.
Yeah.
These windows, a brick wall, that right through those. Like,
huh.
Yeah, or there's like there was one place.
What about sorry.
No.
What about what is it? Periscopes.
Periscopes. Yes. So a periscope is literally a REM pod with, instead of the big tall antenna, on the little ring that goes around the outside with the little spikes, that's where the antenna is. It's the same, literally.
So my friend Judy.
Yes.
So we went to, I don't know if you've ever heard of Willow's Weed.
Nope.
It's out in Cayuga, Indiana.
Nice.
Literally Paducah.
Yeah, we have those missions.
Nothing out there.
Yeah, we have.
It's kind of, so I'm like, definitely be out here away from everybody. But anyway, so we go out there and I'm, outside with her periscope.
Sure.
And because I was smoking a cigarette, and
sure,
I was like, I'm just gonna take it out there and see if I, can get anything on out there. And I start asking questions, and I'm holding it.
Yeah.
And like as I'm holding it, like nothing's happening, and then it starts like illuminating really slow, and I was like, can you light up to a pretty color? And it lit up to pink, and it held on pink.
Interesting. So basically, the colors in that device are the same as the colored lights that are on the.
It lights up like a rainbow.
Like a REM pod. But what I'm saying is based on how strong the ion field is which color it picks. So, like off, like dark, is pretty much.
So you're not necessarily saying that it's not.
It's like a can. No, I'm just saying it's basically doing the same thing the REM pod does.
Yeah.
It is a REM pod in a different.
Do you know what's even crazier?
Yeah. Okay.
The tree that's supposedly cursed on that property is what I was standing next to when it was. Interesting.
Well, and here's an interesting.
Walked around the whole house, nothing happened, and then I go and buy a tree and I'm asking questions. And
Yeah. And so, and also, I've mentioned this. I've mentioned this in the past is not all ghost equipment is legit ghost equipment.
Right.
Even because here's I told the story the REM pod. Some of my friends had bought like a 4-pack of REM pods, and they're like, "Yeah, we got a good deal on these. These are cool." So okay, I get one, and it's just sitting there. It's just going off randomly. It's going off, and it's kind of just do. And I was like, and I'm looking at my sensor board, and it's just flat.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's nothing in this room. What is setting that thing off?
Right.
That is weird.
They tripped it up to.
No. So basically, I said, hey, do you guys mind if I take one of your REM pods apart? And at first, they were kind of like, oh, okay, you're the science guy.
Yeah.
So I took it off and I looked at it, and I opened it up and I looked at it. I looked at the circuit and I was like,
what was it?
Science.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And I looked at it and I was like, well, I've seen some other REM pods, and that doesn't look exactly the same. So then I got my phone out and I started looking up what the little chips were on the surface mount chips. And then I started dawning on me. Those are random timer chips.
Oh,
so somebody got
someone, yeah.
So basically, every so many
That's what I got a deal on 4 of them.
randomly, because they were telling me they get stuff all the time.
Mine was like $200 something.
Yeah, these ones are like 80 or something.
It's like 200.
Yeah, they're expensive. Real ones are expensive.
I don't know what that.
But see, here's the thing: they're like, yeah,
It works.
they're like, yeah, we don't even bring our other pad. These ones do way better. They go, because every random amount of time, they just blink the lights and sound the beeper. The antenna doesn't even hook to anything. It's just a random timer that beeps in the light, and flashes the lights and beeps the beeper. And I didn't even put it back together. I just set it down on the table. I was like, well, dudes, just be done with these. They're junk. They're random timers. And
they got real tall.
And at first they were like, what? No, those things catch stuff. It does it when we tell it to. I was like, okay, here, watch this. So I reached down the board and I unscrewed the antenna. I pulled the antenna out.
Science.
It wasn't hooked. The antenna wasn't even, it was screwed into the board, but there was no traces going to the antenna itself. So I just unscrewed it and I laid it down on the table and I set the REM pod. About 10 seconds later, it's like, beep, 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 beep. It's like, yeah, now about 30 seconds later, it's like, beep, 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 again. Yeah. It's like, dude, it has nothing to do with anything in the room. It's got a random timer, and it just goes off random.
Again, that's why I said, and again, no offense to nobody. I'm not trying to bash nothing. I'm not trying to. And again, ever since I started my podcast, I've always made sure I don't
say. I'm saying this respectfully.
Yes.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
I don't agree with this respectfully. I think that some people are respectfully. No, just kidding.
You're respectfully retarded. No, I'm kidding. That's why. Okay, after all the years I've done this, a lot of people that get into ghost hunting, it's a thrill-seeking thing.
Sure.
And again, no offense to nobody, because that's how kind of I got started, but I became the skeptic.
And I became backwards.
Yes, I became what I am today because I started learning that some of this shit is not legit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, some of you guys out there are getting scammed.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
these people were
with $80 REM pods.
Yeah,
and again, that's why I try to tell people, whenever you pay money, you know, you work hard. That's why I say this is a hobby and a community. This is why I say what I say. We're not getting paid to do this.
Correct.
We pay our money to do this.
Yes.
Okay? So when you're paying your hard-working money for your ghost hunting equipment, which I think is useless, which is my opinion.
Unless Shane makes
research, it. Unless Shane makes science. It, yeah. Research what you buy. Research what you get. Figure out, again, okay, as a being a photographer.
Yeah.
And I was in the paranormal thing before I became a photographer. Okay, so when somebody sends me a photo, it says, can you tell me if this is paranormal?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, well, I tell you what, I think it's a long exposure.
Yeah.
But let me tell you how it's a long exposure.
Yeah.
I can tell you how it happens.
See, that's how I did. See, I started.
But some people can't take that though, and they'll get really upset.
Some can, some can't.
See, I was a scientist and a photographer and a computer guy way before I knew it. I mean, before I even cared anything about paranormal, even part of it.
Right.
Did you ever see a picture?
So yeah, and then I get people that do this. Did you ever see this picture? They showed me this picture, and I was like,
"We'll talk later." We'll talk later.
Well, no, I think
I looked at it. Yes, I looked at it. We'll talk later.
I need to see it too.
Well talk later.
So, anyways, you know, for me, I kind of did things backwards because I was a science guy, and I was building, and I've been doing the science part of it so much to start out with that for me, I'm almost to the point where I just wish something cool would happen so I could actually see it with my own senses more than just a little bit. You know, I mean, like, I would like to see a book go flying across the room with nobody around and no fish line. You know, I would like to see.
That was me in the beginning because, like, again, when I grew up, me growing up, we're about the same age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, about a year apart.
Here in Indianapolis, you know, we didn't have Netflix. We didn't have
We had
don't have
pay
YouTube.
phones that took dimes.
We don't have cell phones. We didn't have. We had local stations.
Yep.
And we had
basic cable and outside.
No, we didn't. No, growing up,
Rabbit ears.
I didn't have cable.
I had rabbit ears.
Antenna.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we didn't have cable. We didn't have cable until I was like a teenager.
Oh. See, I didn't have.
When I was a kid.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, we had local radio, or we had the local TV stations, but Friday night we had a show called Cemetery that showed.
Okay.
And it was the best.
I know who Cemetery is, but I'm too young.
You're you were born when I was a junior in high school.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Shut up.
Probably, because I'm older.
No.
You know what though? I mean, like literally everybody hanging out with this.
But okay, so back to what I was saying.
Okay.
We had a TV show, and if anybody out there right here that grew up in Indiana, you know him. And he was a character, and I'll send you the I'll show you the intro later.
Yeah.
But it was the best show. You know,
Yeah.
He dressed up and like,
all spooky,
all spooky, but he showed horror movies every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's what we
Like Tales of the Crypt.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that's what we did, and so that's what got me into horror films.
Yeah.
Like right now, I think the best horror films is being Lugosi, Lon Chaney, Boris Karloff.
See, I hardly watch any.
Dude, that was me though.
Yeah.
Growing up, so
you got a farmhouse. We gotta watch The Conjuring or something.
So
now,
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like we didn't have the technology. We didn't have. So it's almost like I had to grow up on the old stuff, So when it came to thrill seeking, I wanted to be scared, scare me, like freaking. So then Friday 13th comes out.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street. All those.
Yeah.
All those movies, like Hellraiser is my all-time, and just.
that's not why I got.
And that's a few months ago. I was like 5 feet away from Doug Bradley that played Pinhead.
Yeah.
And I was just looking over, going, I wanted to scream.
Because I've always been the science dude, and at first didn't even have any theories about the paranormal part. If somebody's like, "Yeah, there's a demon coming out of the basement floor," and everybody else is going out the door, I'm shooting down the basement.
Yeah,
I want to see this right now.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like this younger generation, which no offense, whatever. I mean,
yeah,
but I mean they're hooked on the YouTube bullshit.
Oh,
yeah.
They're hooked on. They got hooked on Ghost Adventures. They got hooked on Ghost Hunters. They got hooked on bullshit. Okay.
Yes.
So I was a teenager when all that stuff came out, but I actually, because I didn't grow up to Sanitarium, but I grew up to Tales of the Crypt, which I'm actually.
No, you didn't grow up on Tales of the Crypt. You got to see Tales. I grew up on Tales of the Crypt.
That was reruns by the time you saw it, girl.
It was reruns when you saw it.
We 6 years old watched it.
That was reruns for
We
grew up on Tales of the Crypt.
Well, I have the whole series, so
see, we're almost 20 years.
Well, I'm sorry. and so no, I mean, I watched like the scary. I mean, my mom, my dad, they always were. My family, we were always really big into Halloween. I'm still into Halloween. I love scary stuff. I love spooky stuff. But I always grew up knowing that, ghosts and goblins and monsters aren't real. It's not real.
Uh-huh.
So when I actually came face to face with a spirit, I was questioning a lot.
Huh, interesting. See, that's what I want to have for experience.
Yeah, questioning. But I'm not done. I'm not done. I see him standing. I seen this man standing in my living room.
Okay.
And I mean, I was froze. I couldn't move or anything. It was like, and finally I ended up running into the kitchen, and I was like, I mean, my mom, you can even ask her about it. She's like, you definitely seen something. She was like, I've never seen you that scared in your entire life. Uh-huh. I was shaking, like she had, like I was hyperventilating. I was freaked out, and I was like 8 or 9 years old.
See, I would have been like, oh, dude, check it out. And I've been over to like, poking at it.
But the thing is I couldn't move, but he kept looking at me, and it was like I didn't feel like he was gonna hurt me, but I'm still 8 or 9 years
Yeah.
old, and I don't
Well,
believe in
like
ghosts and stuff.
that's
I like watching the scary stuff, but I don't believe in it. And then I see that, so it was like, then I started questioning everything that I
It
believed.
wasn't, because like my stepdaughter, when she was probably between 4 and 6 or 7 years old, a lot of times she would come in from playing outside, and she'd be like, "That old farmer man sitting underneath the front yard tree again." And of course, we'd all walk out there, and there's nothing there.
Nothing.
We'd look around, there's no footprints, the leaves are all.
My mom thought someone broke
But,
into the house.
but she did this for years at a time. And it would just be random. It wasn't like she'd do it all. It'd be like maybe twice in a summer each year.
Right.
And she'd be like, "Yep, he's out there again right now."
I lived in Fountain Square in an old house.
And she'll swear to it this day. She's in her 20s now.
So the guy that I actually seen, I swear, because my cousin actually told me, she was like, "Yeah, I seen a ghost one time too," and I was like, "Really? Tell me about it." And she told me about it, and I swear to God, we seen the exact same person. And I have my dad's dad. He passed away a few months before I was born.
Yeah.
When me and my mom were going through and looking at pictures, I was like, "This is the guy I seen that day," and she was like, "That's your dad's dad," and I was like, "Okay, my grandpa," and I was like, and she's like, he's already passed away, and I'm like, I swear to God, that's who I seen.
Yeah.
But my cousin, she was around 8 or 9, and she seen the same man, but she said that he was sitting on the edge of her bed. But he just like smirked at me. I told my mom, I was like, he didn't seem very friendly at first, but I didn't think he was going to hurt me. And then he kind of just gave me a side smirk. She was like, "That's your papa for sure."
Oh.
She said, like, I told her the shirt he was wearing. I was like, he was wearing like a short sleeve button up, dark jeans.
Sure.
He had a mustache, white hair, and she goes, "Yep, that was your grandpa."
Yeah.
But the thing that's always kind of questioned me, and I guess why I got into the paranormal field, not just community, not just because I seen. I mean, I didn't believe in any of that stuff, and then I finally seen something.
See, and I wish I had that experience more.
But I've
aside from the
never seen anything like it, and I search for it all the time.
Me too.
I want that, and it scared me, but it's still like.
Well, it's like the thing I was telling you.
It's the most remarkable thing I've ever seen.
When I was in my machine shop, there's been a couple times where I've walked into the machine shop, and of course, normally you smell the oil and the smells of the shop.
Yeah.
And I would literally walk through the room, and all of a sudden I would hit this one spot in the room, and it was like 1970s, like brute perfume, or not perfume, but men's cologne.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so strong that I actually stopped. I was like, "What?" And I'm smelling it around, and then 10 seconds later, it's gone. And I walked around that shop for 10 minutes.
A little bit. Yeah. You may have not seen something, but you still have the experience.
And it's done it like twice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I
don't wear any.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people that they search for that experience over and over, and I think that's what I've been looking for. I have other experiences. It's not that I just had that one experience. That was it. I haven't seen anything like that ever again.
Yeah.
And I may never. I mean, there are some people that got into this to try to see something like you. You're a threat. You went.
Yeah, my point
was
it's like It's like the shock value of it. Like you wanted to be scared. You wanted it.
Yeah.
But you never found it. And there's some people that are actually really into it for the paranormal.
No, hang on. It's not that I never found it. It's the fact that
if you found it, you wouldn't be as skeptic as you are.
No, hang on.
Yeah, give it a second.
But the more investigations I've done throughout the years, okay, again, the team one of the teams I was on, not, we were part of TAPS. We were part of the paranormal clergy that was founded by Bishop James Long, and that did the demonic stuff. Okay, so in other words, the more investigations I was doing, it was like
there's less and less stuff happening.
It's like it was getting to the point is like, to me, it was more people are dealing with things very psychologically. Okay, there are a lot of stuff's in their head. Like we're dealing with natural explanations.
Yeah.
Because, like, say for example, when you go, okay, so when did you see blah, blah, blah? When did you? Well, it was when I was waking up. Well, it was when I was going to bed. Okay, well,
there's a lot of sleeps.
Well,
from the medical perspective, there's a lot of sleep paralysis.
So in other words, every investigation I was doing, it was like, again, like, okay, there's a difference, like I said before, like there's a difference between ghost hunting and paranormal investigating.
Mm-hmm.
When you investigate the claim. Okay, so it's almost like I could not find nothing. Because then you take the thrill seeking out. Take the thrill seeking,
just go into the
take it out of that equation. Take it out of that equation. And then turn around, you go, okay, I'm not finding nothing. I don't see anything that tells me you have a ghost.
Yes, and that's what I get most of.
That your place is not haunted.
Correct.
Like here, okay,
Yes.
I have been here over 10 years.
Yeah.
And people will go, and I've had this, if I had a nickel for every time I've been asked this, I would have a lot of nickels. Oh my God, what is it? Like, hey man, like, and I go, like, just another day at the office for me. It's just.
I mean, I haven't had like a boatload of experiences here, but I have had a few experiences that definitely speak.
And here's another thing that I saw in the psychology journal that I just read recently. There is statistical evidence that women are more sensitive to in the environment than men.
I've heard that.
And so it's almost like comparing apples and oranges. If both of us are in the same room and nothing happened, that'd be nothing. If both of us in the same room saw something, it'd be something. But you and her in the same room and she saw something you didn't.
She does it all the time.
It could be just.
I haven't saw anything. I hear stuff, and you're.
Well, part of it is your because I've been here. The things that she's talked that she.
I know you've seen me look over there a couple times. I've been here.
But the things that you mentioned that you ignored, he had heard them too.
Yeah.
Now I've never worked other than my whole little shop. I've always been in a choir.
Yeah.
I'm an audiophile. I have a super high-end stereo system that I listen to.
When I sleep, I have to have a fan on because of the ringing in my ears.
See, I don't have any of that. And so I do.
Oh, I have to like the white noise.
Well, my wife was fan.
Yeah, but I have to get the ring.
She has to have the wind on her, even though it's winter.
I get hot. Yeah, she does.
I got a ringing in my ears that I have to get out, that I cannot live.
See, I don't.
If I'm in a silent room and I got the ringing in my ears, I go crazy.
See, and that's where some of the things that she's hearing, you're not, because you just physically don't hear them.
Correct. Yeah, I like the fan on my feet, and I like the white.
Yes, my wife likes it. That's also a female thing.
Yeah, the really loud.
Okay, you have something weird?
Yeah.
Okay, up there in Grandma's room.
Okay.
Okay, when I do history tours, and I've told this story on this podcast before, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you.
Okay.
When I do history tours, I don't talk about the paranormal. I don't talk about the ghost stories. I don't talk about none of it. I stick to the history. I stick to my main script.
Yeah.
That I tell every time.
I bring up a little bit of paranormal.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
But we all got
everybody has their style.
But if I just bring up the little girl down in the basement that I heard this one up in Grandma's room, I've been touched like this.
Okay. Yeah. Here's what's weird, and I cannot figure this out. Yeah. Still to this very day, I can't figure it out.
Okay.
But when I do my tours, and I'm getting ready to take them into Grandma's room, upstairs, women, not men, only women. Not every time, not every woman, but once in a blue moon, you'll have a woman step in and go, nope, I gotta go. Yeah. And they don't. No one knows why. Well, it's like
like I said,
even they don't know why.
In the psychology journal, they actually did like controlled blind studies where they would put a woman in a certain room and they would either put varying magnetic fields or electric fields or very minute amounts of air movement or other little small, very subtle things. And they would test like
even colors.
They would test like 50 women and 50 men, and then record all their survey results because they would have to fill out a survey.
Yeah.
And then the females almost it was a very high
percentage where
could tell those fields were there, could feel things.
I mean, they would like walk in the room. They would like walk in the room and go, "My wife feel and have this." Yeah. They said they would feel sadness. They would feel sick.
Yes.
Even Kira.
She said the first time she went in, she bawled her eyes out.
If you ever met her,
and then she walked past the threshold, and
what's her personality to you?
She's definitely outgoing like me, but way
happy,
bubbly.
Yeah, bubbly, happy. When she does a tour, she's like, she's like so.
That's true.
And she's so, and she even told me I wasn't here to witness. But she told me, she goes, I walked in this room and just started crying.
Yeah.
And I'm going,
Now, see, my wife
No.
in some investigations has walked up the front steps, and she's like, "Give me a minute. I'm going to stand outside."
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And then
it's
she's
just-
like, "All right, I'm ready to come," and she'll have the whole rest of the evening with no incidents. But she will literally stop at the front steps and be like, "No, I need a minute."
and it's weird. I mean,
So-
I don't mean weird in a bad
So that gives the credence to the females having more sensitivity to their environment and or if
that
enemies
makes that
exist.
makes a lot of sense.
Because I'll walk in that thing and I'll just be straight into the alley with.
Like, dude, I've been in that room
Yeah,
that a million times.
yeah. And it's effects.
Because it's so
But
cool.
also,
Things
that
are
does give a small amount of credentials to the paranormal existing. Because if men and women always had the same reactions when they did things.
Okay, so this is what I'm asking you.
Okay.
Do you think it could be paranormal?
There's two
Or
things.
do you think it could be just like an environmental
That's the question. And so when they did these studies, like I said, they would do minute movements of air, they would inject an EMF field, they would do all real subtle things. And if it's possible, let's say, well, here's an example. Actually, I even have an example of this. I did a investigation at a hotel on the shore of Lake Michigan.
Okay.
And in the hotel, you come in the front, there's a front desk. Right behind it is whoever's running the hotel at the time, that's their little private room. It's got a bed and some dressers and a little cook stove and some things in there.
Right.
So
Studio.
it's a little studio apartment so that the front desk people, because they stay there 24/7.
Right, correct.
Right.
And so the main reason we got called there was because they keep losing employees.
Okay.
So somebody hires on, they stay there for a few weeks or a month, and they're like, "No, I'm quitting. There's some weird shit going on here. I can't handle it. I'm out."
But have you done? Have you done? Been somewhere
Where you're like, "Nope."
where like no, but a male says like what the? But have you done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reynolds room?
Oh no, I feel really comfortable in Reynolds room.
Yeah.
What about here? Any other room?
Not really. No.
Okay.
So here,
Maybe the basement. The basement's pretty thick.
maybe.
But don't you think it could be just a creep factor?
I did. I was focusing on him.
Could that just be a creep factor being a basement?
Maybe. But
Maybe.
so anyways,
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe.
we'll continue on this story, right? So they have this little room and it's in there. And these people keep leaving. I mean, they're literally just, we're done. They won't even say why sometimes. They're just like, this place is weird. I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, so we got called in to investigate because they're tired of losing points. So I get in there and I'm doing stuff. The wife's doing stuff. And the wife had went in and out of that room a few times. She's like, I don't know. It just seems a little bit weird or thick, like you said, in that room. And I was like, okay. I'm down for investigate. So I haul the sensor board in and I plunk it down on the big bed that's there. And I plug it in and I start it recording. And I open up the laptop and I start looking at the first few readings coming in. And I'm like, holy hell, the amount of EMF in this room is like so far off the scale that it was actually the auto scale was actually moving to the next scale up because it couldn't handle the numbers were getting too big. And so it was rescaling.
Right.
So I'm like, holy hell, there's a lot of EMF in here. And of course,
and the electrical field can mess with
it was very strong.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They had called another group in before us. And so the other group is like, oh yeah, this place is amazingly haunted. We go in this couple rooms and our K2 meters are pegging. Everything's crazy. The red line's going nuts.
Well, it's going to. It said
they're literally like, this place is haunted. This is weird. You need to just be done with this. Yeah, be like, this building is done. You need to move out here. This is haunted. So of course I'm in there on my sensor board and I'm watching it. And then I'm looking at it. It's like, oh, wait a minute. That's got 60 hertz frequency.
Which is normal.
Which is electrical.
Correct.
So then I start looking around underneath the bed. There's nothing. I checked to make sure they didn't have an electric blanket, which is another one
Yeah.
that you literally are laying on the magnetic field. So if you're a female or whoever and you're sensitive to those fields, you will never sleep good at night with an electric blanket.
Correct.
So, anyways,
I can't either. I just have feet.
And I didn't find anything in the room.
Right.
So then I went upstairs. I looked around, and it's like, there's nothing up here. That was just a guest room up above. So I go in the basement. And I kind of figure out, okay, this is the exact spot. I'm looking up at the bottom of where the bed would be.
Right.
Well, hanging on the wall is a transformer. It's probably that big. It's making for the entire building's power.
Sweet.
And it's humming.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's in the basement. And it's like, well, and of course I'm going with my regular EMF meter, not a K2, but and that's like,
correct.
There's your problem. That transformer is your problem.
Yeah.
And I'd like tell you, here's what you guys need to do. Use that room for storage, but pick another guest room for the resident room. And I bet you're playing. And after that, they did that. They've never had people leave that I mean, it was a few years ago. So basically, unless they ripped out that entire electrical system,
right?
If you have people that are sensitive to EMF in the room and they're sleeping on bed,
correct,
or they're hanging out in that room, they are going to notice. Like I said, my wife actually was like, "Yeah, that room's kind of thick and weird."
Yeah.
But it had nothing to do with ghosts. It had entirely to do
Well,
with
the thing about it is,
this huge 480 volt.
It's going to mess with
high EMF can make you have
hallucinations, hear sounds, feel things, feel like you're being taught all kinds of weird stuff. Because they've done tons of controlled studies on it.
Yeah.
Where they have a little booth that has EMF or not EMF, and you don't even the scientists don't know. And a computer randomly chooses it, and they put people in there and tell them, press this button if you feel EMF, press this button if you don't. And of course, people, especially again females, would pick it way more than chance. I mean, they would be, like 78% accuracy.
Correct.
And so if you have an EMF pool that big in that room, people are they're going to think it's hot.
I mean, that's why I was wanting to tell you about Grandma's room. Is, like, I'm not saying it's paranormal.
Yeah.
Not one time I've ever said it had anything to do with paranormal.
Sure.
Ghosts, what the hell ever.
I definitely put the board up there.
Yeah, we will.
But it's just weird for me, like, doing history tours, because you know what I do when you tell somebody, if I brought a paranormal team in here, and I gave them a bullshit story,
they believe it.
I would give them a shit story and go, we was in there and she got shoved. And every time she's in Grandma's room, she cries. Like a baby, and
and that's where they find this activity.
Then all of a sudden, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Psychologically.
Yep.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yeah.
So again, I just do a history.
Well, and that's the other thing.
So females walk in there and they're going, "Oh."
Especially if you didn't tell them anything.
No, I didn't say a word.
So maybe there's a ton of EMF up there. We'll find out.
I'm doing it. No, I
don't know.
It's been a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
So now I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, we could do an EMF sweep and check it out.
So,
I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. You're going to see things that your mind
say.
Yeah,
we've been talking.
We could probably be done anytime. We're an hour and a half.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That's pretty. That's a pretty solid interview.
Yeah. I think
and it's not like it's going to be our last.
No.
We'll have, dude. I mean, he's like, the PvP computer guy.
He's family.
Yeah.
We adopted Shane. Surprise!
That's all right. So let's wrap it up and then let's go play with some equipment.
Play with the tools.
I wish we had a camcorder so we could.
We do
vlog the whole thing.
Well,
we do.
Well, I do because part of my normal setup is to set up that camera that sees the whole room.
Oh, okay.
And syncs to the board data. So
I was about to say, I just have my
phone. I could go. Let's do this. Okay, for our listeners out there.
Yep.
Will it mess it up if I go live on my phone? Will it mess up with the name?
It'll see the readings. Yeah.
So let's do this for our our watchers out there. Everybody that watches the podcast. We will actually put the video at the end of this podcast. Can you make a video and send it to us?
Sure, because it records it.
Okay, so let's do this. At the end of the podcast, we will put your video
Okay.
of like their video up there, what you do.
Yeah, you'll see everything.
And
Yep.
So
Yep.
what about it, guys?
Yay.
Okay, and also tonight I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Sweet and Scentsy, which is my niece's side job. So it's like candle warmers,
Scentsy.
Scentsy stuff.
I love Scentsy. I wish you would have told me that sooner.
Yeah, my wife and I.
I know. Why are you holding out on the good?
Yeah, it was like right before, like I discussed this right before I came here. So I told my niece, I said, "Hey, do you want to sponsor the podcast?"
Oh, that's sweet.
And she goes, "I love you so much. You're the best uncle in the world."
Aw.
So tonight, everybody, I'll put the link down below for my niece's Sweet and Scentsy. So if you're into candle warmers and stuff like that, please click the link. Be a client for her. And like I said, she's our sponsor for tonight. So everybody, please go out there, show her some love. Love you, Brittany Nicole. And thank you for sponsoring the podcast tonight.
And subscribe to Paranormal Vantage Point.
I don't know if she did or not. But she gave us a 5-star review.
Awesome.
On her Facebook, she gave us a 5-star review.
I'll give her a pass.
Because you know why? My cauldron,
Greatest uncle in the world.
my cauldron that I got on the table is full of Reese cups.
Oh.
Is it really?
Yeah.
We should go to your house.
I was about to say, I'm about to go over there.
Yeah, my cauldron on my old podcast table.
There's not better.
You know what? I'm gonna go. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
I know you just heard that.
Tick.
Yep.
No, that was the window.
No, that was over there.
No, it was right there.
Okay.
It was right there. I heard it.
It was back there.
No,
That's the heat bed. Or the heat, or the radiator. Oh, okay. But that's where it was.
Actually, they used to.
They don't anymore. No.
Well, they had to have a boiler.
No.
So,
Anyway, believe it or not, we used to use the boiler.
that's awesome.
Because it would all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you to our sponsor tonight, Sweet and Scentsy.
Thanks for our
like I said.
Yep.
So make sure to see all the links down below for PvP merch. And make sure to check out Shane's video at the end of this podcast. Let us know what you think about it. Like when he shows the center board and stuff like that. I'm curious to check it out. Let us know what you think. And again, thank you guys for watching. Mad love to you all, man. And hope you like it that we're here finally at the historic Hannah Mansion. And we're always going to start recording here. And feel free to give the mansion some love. The website will be down below. Check out